I've learned a lot being in the game for so long. Do I always get it right? No, I'm human, but I also hold my hands up when I don't get it right, because I think it's important that you lead with humility. And if I want my players to feel the freedom of like being able to make mistakes and learn, like I need to show that I'm that too, and that I can make mistakes and I need to learn from it.
Last week or 2 weeks ago, it was announced that former San Diego Wave head coach Casey Stoney has signed with Canada Soccer. She is the new manager for the women's national team. A big, tall task ahead of Stoney as she enters this new era for Canada Soccer. A lot on her to-do list, the federation's to-do list to get Canada Soccer out of the sticky situation they were in this last year with DroneGate and everything that happened. I had a chance to chat with Casey Stoney. We're going to listen to some clips, play them, and then we'll hear what you guys think, Sandra and Christine, about this. So one of the first things I talked about is what she's going to do once they finally get together. Take a listen. When you finally get the team and the group together, what's your first message to them going to be?
Well, firstly, I'm used to challenges. I've been part of building two brand new teams. So a challenge excites me. I think when I get with the players, and I've obviously already had a call with them, for me, it's about setting a standard to move forward. Obviously, very aware of what's happened in the past, but it's about what we can build now moving forward. It's about how do we build a team that excites the fans? How can we be really proud of who we are as a team and build an identity? I'm a player's coach. I always have been. I always will be. You know, I was a player. I understand. I played international football for 18 years as well at the highest level. So I understand the needs, the demands, and the pressures and the ups and downs. And, you know, I advocate for them on every level, and I'll continue to do that. I want to make sure that I support them on their journey, that I challenge them to be better every single day, and that we can create something, you know, in our environment where they feel like they can really accomplish something when we get into 2027.
Good stuff. I remember when we did like the reaction segment to this news, it was like, okay, Casey Stoney is going to be named as head coach of Canada, and I believe it was Lisa, myself, and Darian. And I don't think there was really a moment in where we were reacting to the news where we were just like, oh, did Canada Soccer get this right? There was never any shades of that. And I think when you kind of hear this response to this first question that you teed up, Lisa, I think, look, they maybe a player-minded players coaches is exactly what this program needs right now, kind of moving forward.
She also mentions how she's been part of new clubs before, like bringing Manchester United to fully professional, of course, expansion side San Diego Wave a couple years ago. And although Canada Soccer has been around, right, they won a gold medal at the Olympics 5 years ago. It's still a new beginning, and it's almost like starting over from the ground up. And you're exactly right, Sandra. It's the right move. But because Stoney was a player, it brings a different perspective. So I asked her about that. Take a listen. What is something that stuck with you as a player that you now try to emulate as a coach yourself?
I'll be honest, like, and this is what I always say, and it's positive and negative in some ways. Like every experience I had has influenced who I am as a coach. And I took so much from what I wouldn't have done and what I would have done differently. And then I took quite a bit from like really positive experiences where actually my coach really just cared about me as a person and put value into me as a person and was open and honest and transparent. And then I took some experiences of like complete opposite when I didn't feel cared for and they didn't care about my development. They didn't spend time and they weren't transparent and they weren't honest. And then like, what did I want as a player? I wanted transparency. I wanted honesty. I want someone that cared about me. I wanted someone that invested in my development and cared about me as a person and as much as a player. So I've learned a lot being in the game for so long. Do I always get it right? No, I'm human, but I also hold my hands up when I don't get it right, because I think it's important that you lead with humility. And if I want my players to feel the freedom of like being able to make mistakes and learn, like I need to show that I'm that too, and that I can make mistakes and I need to learn from it. So I think I just try and create an environment of like psychological safety, but challenge and support and a place where people can come and like just be their best version of themselves.
Casey Stoney is absolutely hands down remarkable at the human aspect of coaching, aside from being really, really articulate in explaining her systems, tactics, and things like that in every single coach's call that I've ever been on with her. And it's really nice to see that the yield that we've seen on our end is actually very intentional. And you can see in just her objectives, the way that she approaches things, how supportive she is. Even her time at the Wave, when they had sort of the injury crisis that prompted her using a lot of rookies in a lot of places where she's gotten them to stand up and be leaders on the field. Are sort of proof positive that what she does, the integrity that she has, is definitely filling her cup as a coach. And I think that I'm excited to see what she actually can enact for Canada, because to your point, Lisa, it very much is like starting with a new team with an expansion side. There's a lot of work to do on field. There's a lot of work to do financially. There's a lot of work to do just for the spirit of what Canada soccer has meant and will mean, reinstilling a sense of identity that got eroded with the recent scandal. I think that Casey Stoney is absolutely the person of the job. It's refreshing to hear that she has her eyes and feelers out for all of these things and what makes a player a great player, and it just stems from what she experienced, the highs and lows.
One of my biggest takeaways from just talking with her and hearing her have these conversations is the level of transparency that she wants. And she's always been that way, even the last several years in the NWSL, saying anything that she really thinks, right? Whether it's to media, on her social media, she is pretty much an open book. And she even said that to me at one point. She was like, players of Canada soccer, if they have questions about me, I'm answering them. And I'm also telling them to go ask other players that I've coached. Talk to Kaylin Sheridan, who she has coached at San Diego, Canadian goalkeeper, and find out what type of coach Stoney is. That's what she's encouraging of her players. Hey, go do your homework on me, because I'm also doing my homework on you. But this is a new role for Stoney, right? She's only ever been at the club level, a little stint with the English national team. But now as an international coach, she's got different goals. I asked her about it too. When you take these first steps into Canada soccer, what is a personal goal that you have for yourself on this new journey?
I think I just want to be the leader that they need me to be. I think I want to be somebody they can rely on, somebody that they know that they can come to for development. And, you know, I think I want to be someone that can lead the program, continue to develop every aspect of it, and hopefully we can achieve something in 2027 that this country hasn't done before. But, you know, everyone's going to want to do it, but we're going to try hard.
All eyes on Brazil, Sandra.
It's so funny to hear you mention that, and hear her mention her previous answer, or you saying that she mentioned in one of her previous answers that, you know, go ask about me. I love that energy. You don't know about me? Go ask about me. And you know, it's funny just coming off of Media Day, because I like, technically I did. Like, I also chatted with Kaylin Sheridan. She's not gonna get to work with her at a club level, but that's not gonna, like, she's gonna still get to work with her at a national team level. And players do kind of echo those sentiments. Sheridan is included, I think, in that collective of very impressive players who have found themselves coached under Casey Stoney. But just hearing that, it's refreshing. It's refreshing to kind of hear her response in that. It's not so it's yes, it was about getting the right person for this role, Canada soccer, but I think it was also equally important to get the right person at this very specific time in their history, where they have to kind of come out of the Olympic tournament that they just had, having to come out away from the drone scandal. Who's going to be that coach to come in and make sure that the players actually can hit that reset button and move on? I think some of the reaction when we first saw the news was that it wasn't so much that she was going to have to get players on board as far as, you know, being able to stabilize a locker room. That's not what we saw. That's not how we saw these players react when they kind of ultimately went through crisis. We saw them go on an incredible run during the Olympics, that they were actually quite motivated for and by each other. Now they're going to have a head coach in that locker room that can kind of channel all of that very good energy already hopefully do something like Stoney said, maybe something really special in 2027. And it being in Brazil, I think that's going to just work in favor of the region in general, or your CONCACAF or CONMEBOL. You get to prepare for that cycle in a relatively reasonable travel schedule. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Stoney does with Canada when they all get together.
Whether you're coaching domestically, internationally, whether you're a player or a coach, whether you're a pundit or just a fan, you got thoughts on Naomi Girma, $1.1 million transfer to Chelsea. So, of course, I had to ask her former San Diego Wave coach what she thought about Girma going to Chelsea. Is this the right move for her to go to Chelsea now?
Firstly, I'm glad I'm not a Wave, because losing her would have just not been good for me. Like, I cannot speak highly enough of her as a player. Like, and as a human being, she's incredible. Like, she has no idea how good she is. She really doesn't. She's got some of the best footwork I've ever seen. And we did a lot of work on that during my time. Ability to cover ground, the way she can defend. She's great on the ball. She can play with both feet where she needs to. She's unbelievable. She's for me, like one of the best centre-backs in the world. And I would have done absolutely everything in my power not to lose her. I'm not surprised by her going to Chelsea. You look at their squad, it's absolutely stacked, and they just continue to buy new players and obviously strengthen. Obviously, Kadisha Buchanan being out kind of makes sense for them to bring Naomi in and pay that money. And obviously she's still so young. So being able to invest in someone that's going to give you the next 5, 6, 7 years at your club is big. She's not going to get tested as much defensively, I don't think, in the WSL, but obviously working under Sonia, different tactics, different ways of playing, she'll continue to grow. It's an experience of her being in a different country as well. So yeah, I'm fascinated. I'm going to continue to follow her career with interest.
Oh, well, from one highly versatile, 100+ capped national team defender opining on the world best per Emma Hayes and per Casey Stoney, like one of the best center backs in the world. I mean, well earned and high praise for sure. Girma going to Chelsea as if they have any weaknesses is just bananas at this point. They're sitting at the top of the table. Girma paired up with, like, right now the backline of like what Lucy Bronze, Bjorn, Bright, and Neem Charles that they've been playing is Chelsea. You don't need that. You don't need that. No, Girma is absolutely electric. She's a really fun, dynamic player to watch. I think that I don't know. She's obviously a world great and she'll go into the Footballer Hall of Fame, but to see her transition into BWSL is going to be really, really interesting because, to Casey's point, different league, she could get a little sleepy back there in that back line. We could see her get a little bit more active. Can you imagine like more Girma goals?
I
Oh
would love
boy,
it.
oh boy, oh boy.
I love more Girma goals.
Didn't even think about that. Honestly didn't think about that, which I appreciate Casey's reaction, Stoney. It's a fair answer. It's like, yes, you're full of praise for a former player that you coached, but she kept it real and said she might not be challenged the same way in Women's Super League the way she was in NWSL. So maybe that does mean some tactical things for her and Bon Pastor. I guess we'll have to wait and see.